So hello again, welcome to Practical Research 1, the research problem, and the research title. Again, I am Dr. Annabeth Lopez. Let's start. Again, my expectations, as always, 1 to 3. And then our goal is to design a research project related to daily life and write a research title. Now, we have here some statements that you can fill up the sentences. This is what we call the word pool. You can get your answer here. Practitioner, concise, hazard, theory, motivation, qualification, costing, academic community, title, and equipment. Now, as being said, these are the statements that you're going to identify by choosing your answer in the word pool. So this is the word full, and this is the questions or statements that you need to identify. Number 1, this may refer to existing social philosophies and generalizations. Number 2, this may refer to a person who has an expertise and has gained experiences in a particular field. Number 3, these consist of administrators, teachers, students, and parents. 4, this pertains to devices such as computer and telephone. 5, these reflects the knowledge and training acquired by the researcher. And 6, this provides the researcher a satisfaction and enjoyment in conducting a study. 7, this refers to the question how much in the conduct of the study. 8, this pertains to dangers and harms the researcher may encounter. Number 9, this can show the main idea as well as the summary of the study at a glance. And last, number 10, this suggests comprehensiveness. So lesson 1 is all about research problem and the research title. You may probably observe that you are living in a society where random changes occur. In a similar way, you may also see that problems are everywhere, from hearing news in a television or seeing timely posted issues in a social media site up to your daily common struggles. So, as a student, such as a feeling of difficulty in answering a test or difficulty in transportation going to school and the like. With such circumstances, we may say that this is how the society where we are living is designed to. We constantly deal with these inevitable problems by conducting researches and studies in order to find relevant solutions resulting in a change for improvement. Now that you have acquired some basic knowledge of research as a discipline, it is time for you to step forward by initiating a self-observation of the happenings in the community where you belong. Your journey in research continues by looking for a problem appropriate to your needs, interests, and understanding towards the issue. Hence, in this part of the module, you will be provided with additional knowledge on how to design a research project as well as its possible research title relevant to your daily experiences. Now, again, write agree if the given statement describes the qualitative research, and then disagree if it's not qualitative research. Write your answer again in your practical research notebook. Number 1, Hannah conducts a study which focuses on the daily life experiences of students with dyslexia. 2, identify the participants of the study. Joshua simply employs random selection technique. Number 3, in order to solicit responses from the participants, Patricia utilizes the interview guide as her research instrument. 4, since the study of Kyle aims to understand the culture of the indigenous people, he then decides to immerse in their community for certain months. Number 5, Clarice employs an inductive approach in the conduct of her study. Again, number 6, the study of Gerald aims to identify the significant relationship between the reading habits and the level of reading comprehension skills of the grade 11 students. 7, to gather the data needed for the study, Paul utilizes an objective type of survey. 8. To study the challenges faced by the COVID-19 patients in the province of Bataan. Nelson interviews 15 COVID-19 survivors as his research participants. 9. To analyze the gathered data, Oscar employs a statistical formula. 10. Michelle carefully observes the emerging themes from the responses she gathered from the interview to answer her research question. So let us read the following example. So and answer the corresponding questions. In the senior high school of Barangay Masigasig, there are 4 students who are being admired by others because of their hard work. These students are Carlo, James, Sarah, and Nika. Carlo is a consistent top student who is enrolled in arts and design track. After attending his classes, he performs extra work as a dishwasher in a carinderia near his house. On the other hand, James is an athlete as well as a good leader of the school who is enrolled in sports track. He attends his extra work at printing services once his class hours are done. Meanwhile, Sarah is enrolled in TVL track and is known as one of the good performers in her class. She sells isaw, balot, and mani when the clock strikes at 6 p.m. Lastly, there is Nika of academic track who always represents her school in different academic contests during her free time. She serves as a tutor of 3 pupils from different grade levels, being active students of their school and showing exceptional determination. Carlo, James, and Sarah and Nika are tagged as the Masigasig Fantastic Four. Number 1. The question. Who are the Masigasig Fantastic Four from the selection? A. Carl, Jake, Myra, and Laika. B. Carl, James, Myra, and Laika. C. Carlo, Jake, Sarah, and Nika. D. Carlo, James, Sarah, and Nika. What is common among the 4 students? A. They are all school athletes. B. They are all working students. C. They are all taking academic tracks. And D. They are all leaders of school organizations. Number 3. Why are they called the Masigasig Fantastic Four? A. Because they are hardworking. B. Because they are all great leaders. C. Because they are passive students. Or D. Because they always represent their school in academic contests. 4. What do you think can be the possible common struggle faced by the students in the selection? A. Lack of focus. B. Disrupted study habit. C. Time management issue. D. All of the above. 5. If you will formulate a research title based on the selection, what would it be? What would be its possible focus? A. Life of honor students. B. Life of student athletes. C. Life of working students. Or D. Life of struggling leaders. So, as depicted from the scenario presented in the reading selection, students at their age can also face different struggles. This further implies that nobody is exempted. That is, problems which may be represented as a challenge or a difficulty can be possibly encountered by anyone. Now, as a senior high school student, it is undeniable that you are encountering problems as well. Perhaps you may also relate yourself with the situations of the characters from the selection whose problem may arise from issues and concerns regarding time management, study habit, motivation, and the like, which later can affect the academic performance. So, as a starting student researcher, you must remember that a situation that brings you a feeling of discomfort or something that you find as challenging and difficult can be considered as a source of problem. Such a problem may later help you to design your study, which primary aims are to investigate, explore, and understand the phenomenon. The findings then can be used to suggest what potential solution may address the problem. Here, you will explore the other sources of a research problem, aside from a situation that brings you discomfort. Moreover, you will also be informed of other considerations in the selection of a research problem, as well as in the formulation of its possible research title. This phase of your research journey is really important. You must first secure your problem before you can possibly conduct a study. So, the research problem. In starting with a project, the researcher must have a clear problem in mind. Basically, a research problem refers to a statement that promptly suggests for conducting an investigation. Moreover, a research problem to be designed must deal with some concerns in a particular field that may need an improvement or solution. The researcher must also observe gaps in existing scholarly literature, theories, and practices in order to come up with a good and relevant research problem. This design problem then will serve as a guide to know what kind of research study will be most suitable to address the perceived concern. The sources of each research problem. There is a need for a socially relevant problem when the researcher will attempt to conduct a study. Hence, it is said that identifying and designing a research problem is quite a challenging task. Sources of research problem is that there is familiarity with the potential sources, meanwhile may help the researcher to come up with a good research problem. As cited from Sacred Heart University Library 2020, four barred sources can be considered. These are as follows. Number one, theory. Existing social philosophies and generalization which the researcher is familiar with may be of great help to design a research problem. The researcher may observe if there is a gap between theory and practice, difference between what is said by the elders and what the youngsters see and observe may be a potential source of a problem. Two, practitioners. Consultation with the people who have direct experiences in a field of interest may provide the researcher an idea of what relevant problem he or she may investigate. Practitioners such as teachers, social workers, healthcare providers, etc., are considered to be a good source of problem since they are directly experiencing difficulties and challenges which are needed to be addressed. Three, personal experience. Daily experiences can provide the researcher an idea of what problem that needs a solution. Observation on what is happening in the community may allow him or her to see the common concerns of people or institutions which may be subjected for investigation. Four, relevant literature. An extensive and thorough review of literature and studies relevant to the problem interests of the researcher may enable him or her to come up with a potential study. Through reviewing other available researches, the researcher may be able to determine gaps in knowledge and to subject them for replication. Thus, a good research problem will be ensured. Then, as cited from the Book of Cristobal and Cristobal 2017, there are criteria which should be considered by the researcher in order to arrive at a good research problem. Here, they adapted the proposed criteria of Barrientos Tan 1997 from the book entitled A Research Guide in Nursing Education. These are further subdivided into external and internal criteria. Number one, consideration is external criteria. Example, novelty. The research problem must carry newness. With this, its practical value would be easily perceived. B, availability of subjects. A research problem, when is subjected to a further investigation, requires data from the target subjects. Hence, the researcher must ensure that there will be available participants who are capable of providing data needed for the study. And letter C, support of the academic community. The academic community, which consists of administrators, teachers, staff, students, and parents, should be considered by the researcher in what particular problem will be investigated. Each member plays a vital role in the conduct of the study. Hence, the research problem should be clearly perceived as beneficial once it is subjected for investigation. In addition, securing permission among the said members must be done before conducting the actual data collection procedure. And letter D, availability and adequacy of facilities and equipment. Necessary common devices such as computers and telephones which will be used in undertaking a study should be considered. Likewise, other needed materials required by the research problem should be checked if they're available and sufficient. E, ethical considerations. For the ethical considerations, research problem, when subjected to study, must not pose any unethical um, demands, most especially on the part of the research participants. Now, qualifications of the researcher. This is number 2, internal criteria. This pertains to the expertise of the researcher to the problem. It is important to the researcher that he or she has enough knowledge and training when the research problem is subjected to further investigation so as to ensure the success of the undertaking. Motivation and interest of the researcher. The research problem which is in the interest of the researcher may give him or her satisfaction and enjoyment. Hence, completion of the research task will be efficiently attained. Next internal criteria is time factor. A research problem, when it is subjected to a study, should suggest to be time efficient. With this, the undertaking will be possibly accomplished in a given time frame. And last, cost and returns. It is also important that the researcher should consider a research problem which suggests to be cost efficient. When it is subjected to a study, it must not be a sort of an expensive undertaking. And last but not the least, hazards and handicaps. This means that a research problem should not put to the researcher in danger. The proposed study should be safe not only to the participants but moreover to the researcher himself or herself. Physical and mental health of the researcher must always be considered. Let's go to the research title. Once the researcher has already had a problem that will be subjected for a study, he and or she may now begin formulating a good research title that will best represent the problem and the study itself in general. As cited from Sacred Heart University Library 2020, a research title should help the readers to see the main idea as well as then summary of the whole study. Further, it usually contains the fewest possible words that can bring understanding of the content and the purpose of the study among the readers. The characteristics of a research title. As a commonly observed, a research title is the first one to be read before proceeding to the other parts of the research paper. Hence, it is really important to know for the researcher what makes a research title an effective one in order to capture the interest of the readers towards the problem to be investigated. Here are some of the characteristics of a research title that the researcher should put into considerations. Characteristics of a research title. Number 1, it should be limited only to substantive words with high consideration to the key variables such as the phenomenon under investigation, the participants, and the setting of the study. Number 2, it should use words that can create a positive impression among the readers. Avoid using abbreviations as well as some word constructions such as method, result, and investigation. 3, it should be in the form of a praise with correct use of capitalization. That is, the first letter appeared in the title as well as the first letter of each noun word should be capitalized. Number 4, it should be concise by adequately implying the participants and the coverage of the study. Sample of the qualitative research title. Number 1, the need to transcend, a phenomenological study on the life experiences of millennial teachers by Lacdo O et al. 2018. Number 2, the educated citizen, cultural and gender capital in the schooling of ATA's children, ATA's children in the municipality of Mariveles, that's not January, by Moralista and Delariarte 2014. Number 3, this too shall pass, a grounded theory study of Filipino cancer survivorship by de Guzman et al. 2012. Et al. Means marami silang author. 4, local studies centers transforming history, culture, and heritage in the Philippines by Perez and Templaza of 2012. And 5, President Rodrigo Roa Duterte's political speeches, a critical discourse analysis by Remorosa, 2018. So now it's time for you to answer the following. Situation, right? Yes, it indicates good practice of uh, practice in the selection of the problem. And formulation of title, and no if it's not. Number one, Harold conducts a study which has already been done in his school with similar objective and participants. Two, Jessica pursues her study because she observes that there are existing research gaps in her field of interest. And number three, Gerald plans to consult the SPED teachers in his community in order to know the focus of his study regarding the life of SPED students. Four, Joanna secures the approval of the school administrator before subjecting her perceived problem into a study. Five, the research problem proposed by Ulysses requires more time and may exceed the target time frame when it is subjected into a study. And six, in the formulation of his research title, Willie includes only essential words and variables of the study. That would be all. Thank you for listening and watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Remember to submit your work in our Google Classroom, online Google Classroom, or in your practical research notebook, and make sure to prepare for our short quiz always. Thank you so much.